Holistic Life. Just so y'all know, I don't really post on my YouTube that much no more after they banned me and censored me and put me in the shadows, right? Cancel my comments, manipulate my likes. You start to think it ain't really YouTube, it's their tube. So, but just gonna make this video because I'm being driven to do so, and I don't stop doing what I love to do. So, this is what I do. And you can hate on the messenger all you want, but you can't stop the message. Okay? So, I don't have no cards. I'm just free spoken right now. The issue with TikTok, they say in my account it first was banned, now it's suspended. I don't really know what's going on. These people been on my case like everywhere else. You know, Instagram, I don't really fuck with Instagram that much. So, you know, I'm pretty lost for words when it comes to just utilizing the social media when media has become corrupted. There's no more free press. And it's almost like we need to take it back. We need to protect our freedom of speech more than ever. Why? Because, like your forefathers told you, because they spoke about all this, that if they take your ability to express yourself, as well as your right to bear protection, like weapon against a tyrannical government, or in this case, military-industrial complex or Federal Reserve, this is why your Constitution was written, for this particular reason. And for the same reason, these snake-ass mofos want to sit here and change your laws behind your back without your knowledge or consent. The government was for the people, by the people. Technically, they're civil servants who serve the people. You remind your police that shit, but you let them know you know where they stand. That we, the people, are the enemy of the state. The state is dividing itself between real and fake. And no, you don't have to be a patriot. You don't have to be a Trump-er, because that's part of the schism. So for those who know, they know. For those who sit here and get bought by the lies or follow the narrative and they're so involved in it, you need to see it for what it is. Okay? Anyway, I mean, of course, I come from a family who was primarily Democratic. You know, they help with campaigns. They've done some things like that, you know, involved in politics. I don't know to what degree. You know, I was never really involved in my family's affairs. I was the black sheep. I was outcasted, and I had my own problems. You know what I'm saying? But I was like thrown to the side and left in the dark. I didn't know why. I didn't know how. You know? And the thing, for somebody who just loves to seek the truth, the worst thing is to be left in the dark by those you love the most. You don't care how painful the truth at this point is. You just want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Well, I want the truth. And sometimes it will change you. Of course, that's what it's intended for. You refuse to stay in the dark, and you also accepted that if people don't want to give you that closure, that's okay too. You know? You don't want to assume, because you know that that's going to keep you in that rotation to give a damn. And this is the part where you're learning to emotionally detach. You're learning to accept things you cannot change. You're not trying to control a narrative. You're just trying to figure it out. Figure 8, trying to get out. Karmic ass messes and cycles that they keep trying to put you in. Trying to trap you in these bonds and ties. These chains. And yes, I can relate very much with the story of Joseph, because it felt that way. sold into captivity by your own people. Jacob. So it is part of my nature to be competitive, or in this case, to take what is rightfully mine, even if it's by force, just the way how these people did it, right? These people sat here and tyrannically took by force your rights, even though they swayed you, they tempted you. They made it sound good. They made it seem like you was gonna gain something. But in reality, you was losing. And see, some of us, we already woke up to that fact. Like, you could judge us for not being of the world or not operating accordingly to your standards. Just because we do things unconventional or different, we already prone to adjudication, okay? People gonna judge us for it. In school, I was nerdy, I was quirky, I was odd. You know what I'm saying? I was scapegoated. Again, I was a black sheep. I was outcasted and ousted for speaking my truth, for standing up for something that was real. I paid a price for this shit. So when people want to go out here and pretend to be something they're not, and they think this is a game and a joke that they like to play because they just want fame or clout or they want to be seen a certain way, this ain't about an image, dog. This is far from it. Even though a lot of us, we wrestle with that image. I'm a poet. Before anything, I've been writing and channeling all my life. I was a medium. I was a healer doing energy work. I was already doing yoga poses since I was a child. I've had some spiritual events happen, that made me question reality. And it's just, my life wasn't normal. It was far from it, okay? And when I was placed in this, I would say, mind control, where you feel like you're in the Truman Show, nothing makes sense. You don't understand why you was prone to these experiences, or why you were being initiated by the underworld, or whatever the fuck, Keys of Solomon shit. Like, you was already doing Masonic initiations without being a Mason. Let's put it like that. In a spiritual sense, you was being initiated by the spiritual realm. So you had to earn your position. You had to put in the work. You had to, because a lot of us, we're hermits. So we are the students of life. In order to master, to become a teacher, in order to be able to teach others, whatever your job title is. You have different titles, whether it's earth title, whether it's universal title. But a lot of y'all, if you like me, you don't find fulfillment in this planet for long. This is all short-term gratification. You looking for something in the long run, and you know that comes from a spiritual sense of belonging and becoming. And that's through the connection through our Lord, through the Christ, through the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Yahusha is the way, and we're not gonna get into Christianity, religion, that aspect, okay? Whatever Constantine created as a result, whatever, if his intentions were pure or not, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that right now, because I know the power of the Christ is enough to change people. So anything is possible. It could take someone like Paul, who's the father of conversion, who literally was killing Christians, who hated Christians, who was a Jew, part of the Roman army. He was a head general, and he traded his life to be on the opposite team. Come on. Because this is somebody who had to go preach and go talk to people who at that point he had condemned or have caused even harm. So imagine his pride. I could just, I put myself in their shoes. Imagine the pride that he felt, having to bow to his position, knowing that God is working through his life. See, God chose his ass, knocked him off his horse, and he was blinded. something happened for him to have a change of mindset, okay? That's not something that happens like, ooh, overnight, unless you having like some really off the wall experience. It's shifting your reality, okay? And usually when we get into our spiritual path, it's the result of something extreme, something that's life changing. A life changing event, a circumstance that causes you to have to shift or go inward or focus, right? And prioritize. And be grateful for this kind of shakeup, because God is trying to work in your life, even though it's through you, because these are everything that we bring into our life is our result of what we've allowed. So when you start blaming others for the fact that you can't change as an individual, that's the excuses that most people make because they don't want to put the work in. They lazy. You know, they can call me lazy. No, boy, I'm disabled. Big fuck difference. So I have to fight that through diligence, through taking action in my life, even though it's uncomfortable and it's painful. You have to conquer these the things that you consider your weakness. You know, you consider yourself weak. That's how God can work through you, though. You get the fuck out the way. As long as you have an ego, you edging God out, it's hard for you to have a God spirit, the Holy Spirit, to reside in something that is only pure and obedient. And that is a prime example of what God represents. Most people claim to be something that they can't even walk in. They are imperfect to the fact. That's why there's no comparison. This is why you ask Him for that power to renew you and make you, into its perfection. Because your human nature is faulty. It's salty. It goes backwards. It allows itself to be manipulated, to be compromised. And as much as we say, I don't really, like, you think I go out here and just judge people, like impose my will on others, This is what, of course, people have accused me of saying, right? This is what they say, like I'm tyrannical or something. And this is why I tell them, I'm not lukewarm to evil, bitch. Let me repeat that one more time. I'm not lukewarm to evil. I address it. I call it out in its shit. And I'm accountable. So, if you want me to accept mistreatment or things that otherwise ain't moral to me, dog, because I operate out of integrity, I'm going to tell you right now, there's no half-ass in this shit. And when you hold a title in God's eyes, you have to be accountable, which means you got to walk accordingly. So I take that shit very serious, especially in a time where people fall short. Where people are imperfect to sin, right? We all sinners. We all victims and perpetrators of such. So, first of all, stop looking at yourself like a victim. You victorious over circumstance. You got to have that winner mentality. Second of all, we not really here to compete. We here to collaborate. So even though we're different and we come from different idealisms, we can come to a congruency of wanting the same thing, which is peace on earth. We can agree to that. And for those who don't possess peace, they're not possessed by the spirit of peace, well then, I understand that, my brother, but you're not of the Most High. Just because you think God has wrath, and God's wrath supersedes any of y'all wrath, I'm going to tell you like this. God don't abuse that natural God-given emotion, because anger is, if it's justified and righteous, there's nothing wrong with it. It's how we express it. It's what we do with the anger that makes it ungodly. It's the fact that we lash out at each other physically, that it changes the name of the game. But this is where I've always told people conflict resolution, communication can problem solve, can create peace. But you have to want peace. This is why a lot of people say they want that shit. They don't really know what it is and they don't want it. And that's a lie. So, because they would rather keep going to war and being in that conflicted ass, chaotic ass energy. And this is because they're confused within they self. They at war with they self. And when you dealing with people like that, just stay out of their way, because you don't want to be swallowed into that mess. Sit here suckered in drama that you didn't even care for. Even though you told yourself, today I'm going to be at peace and ease, right? I'm not going to be disrupted. But that's the thing. You have to be prepared for the wrestle. You know, don't put it past you. Like, don't be surprised. And I'm not saying, ooh, like our peace is short-lived, but a lot of times is how we react to shit, is how we deal with the situation. We're also being tested on how we deal with the situation. So a lot of times we fail because we're unconscious, we're unaware what we say and do. We don't see ourselves. This is why every day I have to check in. Every day. I must die. Every day I must die in the flesh and be renewed in a Christ mind. So that tells me that I'm wrestling myself all the time. My doubts, my fears, my human nature, dog. My fucking flesh. That's the condition that you need to descend, because to transcend, to say material don't run shit in my life. You giving that shit power and authority over your life. So that's principality. And as we know, the goal of principality is to bring you to hell with his ass. Misery like company. So we at war with your soul, basically. But there's a thing called free will. What happens when your free will is compromised? Or you, at this point, I would say you never really have free will, if you think about it. Or do you? And if you do, what is the cost of being true to yourself? The world isn't gonna like it. They gotta counterattack you. And for those who have been selfless, who understand the struggle of being a giver. I should write a fucking memoir. The struggle of being a giver is that.
Good morning, Mama.
Good morning, my precious. I love him. That the dilemma is that we're neglectful of ourselves. And I think Yahusha did say you need to love yourself as well as others. So neighbor, basically like whoever's immediate, close to you, you know, whoever's next to you, like, do unto others what you want done to you. So what does it look like you abusing or mistreating yourself by not giving yourself the equal opportunity that you pretty much give to others? It's a form of abuse. Negligence regarding self-care, which is a self-love issue. And this is why it kind of stems from the self-love, because at the end of the day, people will only treat you the way you allow them or the way they feel about themselves. So when people are hesitant, they would rather treat you like shit. They would rather treat you like shit than respect you, than to apologize, than to do right by the situation. What does that tell you?
Okay.
I don't know. I know that you have to be now responsible and accountable for how you treat others. You don't have to agree. You could agree to disagree. There are certain ways and demeanors that necessary to be diplomatic and peaceful, but the art of being able to disable or restrain a situation without force, that's a beautiful thing, ain't it? By knowing the power of manipulation, because that's like using the power of manipulation, but in a positive way. Come here, where you running to? He right away going to the box. Come here, no. You a slave to the box? Yeah. See? He's obsessed. And this is the problem. We gotta start. See, and if I take away these screens, it's gonna be World War III. It's gonna be World War III. Like, you know what I'm saying? And all you trying to do is do what's right. But it's like you can't even really raise your kids the way you want to. You can't. Without being penalized or people looking at you some type of way. I say that because it's true. Motherfuckers are very judgmental. And they use shit against you. So at the end of the day, when you don't live by their standards, they penalize you for it. Okay? They ostracize you. They make it seem like you don't belong. They excommunicate you. It's the same with religion. Like, you can look at the church back then was divided. You know, and do you believe that, you know, maybe Yahusha was even religious, even though he studied the law, the Torah, you know what I'm saying? The Talmud, the Torah, all that. But when you really look, he studied a lot of different knowledge. So he wasn't limited. He wasn't limited to certain type of knowledge. That's the thing. We come from different eras. So, in the old days, they would kick us out of the house and tell us to go play and go do this, go do that. Now, it's like kids are indoors, computer, phone, talking to strangers, whatever. And I know because I was one of the originals, when computer first came and chatline and all that shit. The whole social media shit. Like, I've been on this shit since the beginning. So, I've seen the progression of such. That doesn't mean that it's contributing towards your evolution, though. And I could talk till I'm blue in the face. I feel like people just don't get it. They don't understand what they signed up for. So, these are just my early thoughts before I had my coffee. Even though I'm trying to quit coffee, I love the aroma and it gives me satisfaction. And I drink my vegan milk, okay? So, I try to cut the dairy. It is a bunch of sacrifice, and it is a bunch of, like, being just disciplined towards your goal. But you need to have a goal, because if not, then you just live senselessly, and then you allow yourself to be gripped by the opinions of others. So you just pretty much living for others. And there's no satisfaction in such unless you were built that way. But you matter, your life matters, your opinion matters, what you went through matters, where you're going matters. You fucking matter, okay? If nobody said I love you today, I'll tell you I love you. You people don't watch my video, that's fucking cool with me. I don't give a shit. But I did what I was called to do.